All right, so like and subscribe to this channel and get more reviews of things. No, there won't be more reviews of things. This is just the F-150 Lightning because I just got one. So I'm going to review it for you. And here's the thing. I am not a car reviewer. I'm not a car expert. I am not an EV expert. I am just a dad. But sometimes you need just a dad to give you a review for other dads and moms out there who want to think and consider about getting an EV. And here I am in front of an EV right now. So I'm going to give you a real honest review of an EV. Now, I know I joked in the opening about all the acceleration and everything, but some of that stuff is actually true. And we'll talk a little bit about that, as well as, are you really saving the earth with this? Let's talk about some of the things we've heard, some of the things that might be a myth. I mean, there's some things out there that people have said. Boy, I did a TikTok recently. Oh boy, did I get torn to bits as some sort of liberal tree hugging something or other on that TikTok, at Dadservations on TikTok. If you want to check that out, the comments are hilarious. Because none of that is why I bought this car. None of the EV sort of jargon that you hear out there from governments and all the other things are any of the reasons I bought this car. I literally am a baseball coach who travels all around all the time and wanted to save a little bit on fuel. And now I'm going to tell you, am I actually doing that? Or is this not actually what I thought I was getting into? Let's talk about it. Alrighty, so here she is, F-150 Lightning Platinum. Now, what I'm going to tell you is, I think if you're going to get an F-150, if you're going to get an EV, let's get the license plate out of there. I'm sure you can see it anyway, but it doesn't really matter. But I always see people blurring them, so for some reason, I'm going to just take that out. So, if you want to get an EV, and you want to get an F-150 Platinum in particular, and again, this is not sponsored by Ford, but I would say it is the Platinum you want to get, because otherwise the EVs are not worth it. I'll explain that in a second, but it is a more expensive vehicle. There's no question about that, and because of that, you want to make sure you have the toys, the bells, the whistles, all that stuff if you're going to actually splurge and get an EV, because it doesn't actually add a ton of pricing to it from the base price to have some of these extra features, and some of the extra features are actually pretty cool. And if you're a parent and you're traveling with screaming kids in the back, maybe you want some of these extra luxury features we'll talk about today. All right, so the other thing is we want to know how to charge the car, right? And obviously we are not doing gas lids and tanks at the back of the car. You can see we're all solid there. There's my dad bod right there on the reflection. Okay, so here we go. So this is your F-150 little door here. There is one on the other side, but it doesn't open. This is your sort of fueling charging station. There's two ways to charge. Obviously, if you are using a slower charger, there's just this. This is a CCS charger. And then if you're on a faster charger with a DC on it, you can pull that little door down and get a faster charge when you're charging the vehicle. My preference, of course, is the faster charger if you can find it. Those chargers are much faster, less than an hour to charge the thing up to 90% from about 30% from my experience so far. Otherwise, if you're on like one of your banks that's eco-friendly, or a store or a plaza or something that has free eco-friendly charging, you better hope you're shopping all day, because it's going to take you some time to charge it. The one disadvantage I would say is the time it takes to charge an EV. However, most of the time, if you do get a home charger, which right now Ford includes with the 2023 versions of this vehicle, and I would highly suggest you, if you're in a 2024 Lightning, you negotiate that with your dealer as well, because there's no reason for them to not provide it for you. And you shouldn't have to pay $2,500 for it. You should have it included, especially if you did go with the Platinum version. I think you should definitely have the home charger included. Why I say that as well is because your home charger, you're probably going to charge once a week if you're just traveling around the city, maybe a little more often if you travel a little more for work. But you definitely want to make sure that you are charging appropriately and fast as you possibly can, because otherwise you're not going to get a good set of mileage from this vehicle in any way. So you want to make sure that you can have charging at home or charging at fast chargers locally as well. The fast chargers are fast. In fact, for the first 3 weeks that I had this vehicle, I had to charge it a few times, about once a week, at a Shell charger, and it cost me about 35 to 40 bucks. So it is cheaper than filling up with gas. But one of the things that you'll notice is that you have to do it a little more frequently. When my Dodge Ram, which was my previous vehicle, I was filling up once every week and a half or so at about 150 bucks. So you do save a little bit, but you do charge more often. However, if you get the home charger, it is even cheaper than that, and you can do it at any time, and you can be 100% charged and ready to go every single day. So that is a huge positive from an EV perspective. All right, so let's get inside our Ford F-150 Lightning to have a look at some of the inside features, and they are important features because they are going to tell you all about your vehicle. And this is when you get in. So when you get in, you're getting kind of that startup Ford beautiful thing there. But you also get a chance to see where your battery is at. One thing that's super important with these guys is you want to make sure you don't charge them every night. I know the temptation when you're at home, and I'm just going to get it started up here just since the screen went off. Again, push button start. Nice thing about this is it actually moves your seat via memory if you have the Platinum, so definitely something you want to think about doing if you're going to do the Platinum. So let's go back to this, though, the instrumentation at the front. So you start off with this sort of calm screen here, and I'm not sure why my phone just took a screenshot. I hope that doesn't show up on the video. If it does, my apologies. Here we go. We've got 130 kilometers of range left. That's 29% battery. So let's talk a little bit about that. Now, I know it's a little bit easier to not charge it every day when you are at home because you can have the confidence that you have a charger at home, and you can just do it anytime. So range anxiety is our next topic, and this topic, range anxiety, is a hot topic among EV drivers and non-EV drivers. I would say it's a hotter topic for non-EV drivers. I thought it was hilarious on my TikTok that non-EV drivers were talking about their range anxiety. Like I give a crap what you think about that. Sorry, I'm just being honest, but the reality is if you're driving a gas vehicle, why are you talking to me about range anxiety on an EV? I don't quite understand that. So anywho, I'll talk to you about a couple of things about range anxiety because I've now driven this vehicle both with a home charger and without a home charger. And I will tell you that with a home charger, again, negotiate this with your dealer, whether you're driving a Ford or any other EV, negotiate getting one from your dealer because it kills the range anxiety, gets rid of it completely. I mean, not that I had a lot anyway. There's enough chargers around me in some of even in the smaller centers, because I know the comments are going to say, well, what about if you live in a small town? I've actually seen chargers in a couple of small towns near me. They're not necessarily the big fast DC chargers, but they are certainly passable as charging if you need it when you're on the road. So, however, the range anxiety is pretty much mitigated when you have a home charger. So you can see I've got 130 kilometers of range left. That's about 29% battery. This is the extended battery version of the F-150 Lightning as well. And so, this will get me pretty far. It's probably another day or so. I've been about a week now since I last charged. And this will be another day or so. I probably drive every day a week, but about 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers probably. I don't know what that is in miles, so I apologize to my American subscribers that we are doing this in clicks, but it is what it is. That's what my vehicle sits at right now. So this is not the view I use, though. However, I use this view. And part of the reason I use this view is because the F-150 comes with driver assistance as well, which I'll talk about in a second. But you can see from a range perspective, there it is again. You can see the little 0% with the green there. The cool thing about EVs, and I'm not sure it's every EV, but definitely the F-150 Lightning, is that when you hit the brakes, or even when you're just coasting, the EV charges itself a little bit off of the energy created by your coasting or your braking. It will even have a brake coach that will coach you on braking properly so that you can get 100% of your charge out of each braking instance that you have, whether that's stopping at a stop sign or a traffic light, or even in traffic, you get a chance to stop. So again, for the EV range, or you get a chance to charge, sorry. Again, for the EV range anxiety, one of the things that you don't have to worry about is sitting in traffic and losing power. What I really like about having an EV is I know that it's going to, if I'm sitting here right now, my car is on. You can't hear it, number one, because you don't have a regular type engine. So it's nice and quiet. But I know my car is on. I can listen to the radio. I can do different things. I can see that if I have traffic, I can just sit here in traffic and not worry about my gas being burnt. Now, I know some people put their cars in neutral or shut them right off in heavy traffic until the vehicle moves, or some of you have the auto shut off features, which I also had in my Dodge. So we weren't losing a ton there, but still you were losing a little bit more than you lose in an EV. So from that perspective, really awesome so far on the EV. Now, from a charge anxiety perspective, most of your EVs now, and I apologize, I just hit my microphone in a funny way, so if it made a sound, I will try to edit that out. Most of these EVs, charge anxiety wise, come with a network. So Ford has the Blue Oval network. It will find you a charger. So I'm a baseball coach. You can see my baseball podcast, Views from the Bucket, on this channel. I encourage you, if you are a coach, to watch that from any sport, not just baseball. But I'm a baseball coach. There's travel. We do travel ball. We go to tournaments. We travel more than 2 hours quite frequently. And because of that, that's the other thing where I could sit here and go, oh my gosh, am I going to be able to charge this vehicle? The answer is yes, because the Blue Oval network will connect me to a charger that's anywhere nearby. Most of you who also drive EVs will also have a network that will connect you to chargers that are nearby. So that means that you can, if you get down to a lower range, like even now I'm kind of at the lower range, it usually warns you at about 80 kilometers left of range. It's great. You could just say on the map system here on this giant screen with the Platinum, but again, you don't need a giant screen just to do this, but it will tell you where your nearest EV is, your charger, whether that's if you're using Apple CarPlay like I am and using Apple Maps, or whether you use your Blue Oval app on your Ford Connect app, you will find a charger. So again, range anxiety, not a huge deal here, guys. So some of the other nice features here in the Ford F-150 are, again, I think you want to try and have the Platinum if you can. I get it. It's super expensive. I know that. I've seen my monthly payments. I get it. And you don't need to at me, comment, whatever. But it's super expensive regardless as compared to other vehicles. Initially, I will say. Insurance, about the same, so I'm not really paying more on insurance. I know some insurance companies do charge a bit more for EVs. Mine doesn't, so I didn't end up getting dinged there. However, I'm saving a lot of money on the fuel, especially with the home charger. So that, again, is something that will make up over time. Nope, my balls haven't been radiated. Nope, there haven't been dead squirrels sitting on the roof because they got zapped overnight because of all the radiation coming off of my vehicle. All that stuff that some people on TikTok were saying. Boy, oh boy, some people are interesting. Doesn't happen. Don't worry about that. You're not going to radiate your children, and you're not going to pop out of the sunroof like a toaster. All of that stuff doesn't happen. Haven't exploded yet. Definitely haven't seen anything weird about the EV whatsoever. So it is definitely something that you can feel safe driving. Back to the F-150. The seats are beautiful. They're very comfortable. It is a very roomy truck. It is one of those vehicles that you want to have room for. Again, baseball coach. I've got kids in the back all the time. We're driving at fairly large distances. We don't tow. So if you're looking for towing, I'm not sure the EV is good for you for that. Okay, I will tell you that. Again, I'm trying to have the most honest review here that's not from a car review magazine or anything like that, where they're nitpicky about mileage and nitpicky about acceleration and all that stuff. I'm a dad. I don't care about that stuff typically. And so, I just hit the microphone again. I apologize. I don't care about that stuff typically. So basically, I'm giving it to you from a review of it as a parent. Okay. So from a parent's perspective, the EV is great. Okay. The seats are comfortable. The space is there. Nobody's being toasted and launched out the ceiling. All of that stuff, all those rumors that you've heard, all those different things, it's all garbage. Now, one thing that I will say too is that you get the awesome ability to tow if you want to tow. I just don't think you'll get a lot of range from it. That's my only warning. So just to show you from a perspective here, from what you can get in the front seat. Not even what you can get, what you do get from Ford. I'll show you. Here you go. So definitely a pretty cool ability to control your trailer if you do tow. It'll help you steer it. I actually am a terrible trailer steerer, so not that I actually tow anything, but if I did, this would come in handy for me. Again, I probably wouldn't go long distances in this EV, but it is able to tow. And of course, you've got a few more of these plus minus things for your towing controls as well. Okay, so that's one feature. Next up, these EVs are loaded with ways to power things. That is a really cool feature of an EV. Like you've got your proximity charger here, your touch charger. Then you've got your standard cable hookups for charging your phones and other devices. But then you've also got a nice plug here that you can plug in your laptop, and I'll show you why that might actually be useful to you shortly. Then you've got your traditional 12 volt right here as well. So again, lots of power for a lot of different things and devices, and I'll show you a couple other areas where you have power as well in this review. So you can see the seats again, perforated leather in this case. That is because you can actually air condition your seat and heat it. So there's air conditioning and there's heat. Obviously, the heat is just the typical heated seat type style setup, but the air conditioning blows. So, and not blows as in sucks, it blows through these perforations. And honestly, on a hot day, which we had yesterday and the day before, that actually is pretty comfortable. It's pretty cool. You've got dual climate control, volume control here. Obviously, you've got your standard controls and your park assist here as well that you can use during the winter months and things like that. Or if you're a terrible parker. I'm not that bad, so I don't need the help from the system, but certainly you can get help. Okay, next, you got a couple of cup holders. This little slot here is a great way to put your phone in and just lay it on its side. That's an awesome thing. I thought it was for change, but it's not really for change. The other thing that's cool is the shifter. So the shifter, you might say, looks pretty standard, and it is pretty standard, except one of the things you want to do is if you're like me and you're a remote worker and you work from home, this is cool because you can actually close that out. And when you do that, you've got a brand new feature that Ford's put in these Platinums, which is a desk. So that's pretty neat. That folds out into a desk. You do need to put that gear shifter down, but boy, oh boy, is it great to put a laptop on here, an iPad, do some work, especially if you're charging. So if you're on a trip, again, one of the things I would recommend is use your Blue Oval network, find very fast chargers. But even if you're finding a fast charger, it might be up to 45 minutes depending on how empty you are. If that's the case, do some work, get on a conference call, open up your laptop, answer some emails, different things. This car has Wi-Fi, so it's another option that you can use in order to do some work and be productive during some charging times. On the steering wheel, you've got your standard sort of items on the steering wheel here. You've got your menu control. This menu control controls that menu up top here. So I'll explain to you what I have on there right now and give you some of the other options. On the other side, you've got your Blue Cruise, which is a really cool feature where the car basically drives itself. In Canada, if you're Canadian, and you can see we're doing this in kilometers, so you know we're in Canada, it's only on the 400 series highways and some other major highways. It is not on most residential streets. However, the self-driving feature is still cool. You can kind of hands off and let the car drive itself for a little while. When you're doing that, though, it definitely requires you to be looking at the road, and it catches you when you don't. You've got a camera here, and you've got a camera over here on the door watching your eyes to make sure you are actually watching the road. And when you don't, it warns you. It starts blinging and beeping and banging at you until you look back at the road. So it's not a time to put your hands off the wheel and start texting. It is instead a time where you can relax a little bit, maybe have a meal or whatever, but you definitely need to have your hands nearby and your eyes on the road. Okay, so let's take a look at this. This is our feature here. One of the features that I really like about this, and I know that some gas vehicles have this too, but this is a really cool feature I love, which is lane assist. If I start to drift off the lane, not drift off sleeping, don't worry, I don't do that, but if I start to drift a little bit to one side or to the other, it will auto correct me Now you have two options here with Ford. You can actually just have it buzz your wheel, so your wheel vibrates a little bit, your steering wheel, just to let you know you're getting close to the line. Or you can have it auto correct you as well, so it'll buzz you and then auto correct it back to center. I guess I'm getting older, or my vision isn't perfect. It does happen to me from time to time, and it auto corrects me, and I don't mind that. It does shut off when you signal, so that's a good thing. So if you're trying to signal to go into the right lane or make a lane change, it's not going to buzz you and warn you. If you are one of those annoying drivers that doesn't signal your lane changes and you have this turned on, you're going to hate it because it's going to fight you back into your original lane, which maybe is a sign that you should be signaling. How about that? Why don't you just signal? Then problem solved. There you go. And you've got some other things on here. Obviously, where you are gear shift wise, the temperature outside, the radio station you're listening to, and so on and so forth. These buttons, which I'm way too zoomed in for. There we go, a little dusty too. These buttons here control this menu, so you can actually flip through. If you don't like this view, you can go to the configured My View section here and move different screens. You can look at your tire pressures, the trip one, calm screen, which takes everything off of there, and you can just have your speed and your charge, and then it usually collapses down into that to make it even calmer. I don't like that. I like to have my information at my fingertips, so I always set it here. When it comes to the big screen, let's take a look at that. Let's try to get off of that so you don't necessarily drive to my house. And so that was the Apple Auto Play or CarPlay, sorry. And then this is a pretty simple menu. You've got your radio, you've got your phone, navigation, media, Alexa, Apple Play. Oh, yeah, see, Alexa's listening to me. Alexa's pretty cool. It's cool because you can connect it to the one you have at home, which means you can do some things like turn on lights at home and things like that right from your vehicle. That's really cool. Android Auto is here too. Charging stations, trip energy, owner's manual, Sketch. So Sketch and other games are here. You can actually play games under entertainment, and that just gets you into some things that you can do while you're charging if you decide you want to play some games while you're charging. So that's an option for you as well. You do have your heated steering wheel and your temperature controls on your seat here as well. And that's really the front. I'm not going to go through all the different controls. You'll have to play with it yourself. But it is one of those things that's got lots of different options for you to control. You can do one pedal drive as well, which I'm terrified to do, so I haven't. I want to show you this thing. Obviously pretty standard for trucks, but it definitely, some of the standard things from trucks are really super important. This one is great for carrying some change, your keys, your wallet, that sort of thing. Obviously you've got the two glove compartments here as well. And up here you've got your controls for the sunroof, things like that. A little bit of notifications on the airbags and what's going on with those. And obviously some lighting. You got your little sunglasses case here, which also puts my regular glasses in when I'm wearing my sunglasses because they're prescription because I'm old. And you've got your little thing to control your garage if you have one as well. Over here, just quickly, pretty standard. You've got your lock, unlock. You've got seat memory as well if you need to remember your seats, or you want to have seat memory if you have multiple drivers. I don't really, so none of this vehicle, so we don't use that. Window controls and mirror controls as well. The mirrors automatically fold in. You can actually set the mirrors to automatically fold in when you turn off the vehicle. So when I do that now, I get pushed back and the mirrors don't come in unless I open the door, I think. And then maybe they don't at all. I guess I'm a liar. It's when I lock the vehicle as far as I'm... No, it could also be because the key's in the vehicle. There they go. Yeah, so it's when you lock the vehicle. Okay, so when you get out and lock the vehicle, the mirrors move in and out for you. So let's take a look at some of the other things. Let's take a look at the back. All right, if you're like me and you have a rat problem, sorry, kidding, kids. Sorry, kids. No, I'm kidding. The kids are awesome. But if you're like me and you have lots of kids, 4 kids at home, we're a blended family, and you're going to have tons of room back here. Not necessarily to fit all 4 kids at once. That you need a giant minivan for. But you do have a ton of footroom back here and a ton of extra space. Now, I had the Dodge Ram before. It had some great room in the crew cab as well. But I would say the Ford F-150 has, and the Platinum EV has even more space than that. So that's really nice for us. We have the kids, we have baseball, we have all these things going on. Absolutely cool to have this extra space. And of course, just like before, power. More and more power. Kids do this, I don't. There we go. So we've got charging cable power here, and we've got another outlet. There you go. So another outlet for laptops and other things. And even your standard power still back here, the old cigarette lighter, in case the kids want to blaze up. All right. They don't, trust me. And then with the Platinum, you also get heated seats in the back. They are not air conditioned, but they are heated. I don't know if air conditioning is a option, and if it is, then ask your dealer. Some cup holders here. There are also cup holders in the fold down middle seat, so you get lots of opportunities to put drinks in. There's actually some in the door as well, so lots of room to put some drinks as you're traveling. And of course, you've got your panoramic roof up there as well, so we won't spend a lot of time on that. Everybody knows what those things are. Now, the next thing you're going to love as a parent, as a dad, doesn't matter, is what we call the frunk. Are you ready? Are you ready to see the frunk? Now, as my teenager will tell me, the frunk itself is actually called a frunk, and it lifts up on its own, and there's a baseball. Anybody want to play baseball? There you go. So the frunk is carrying a lot of our baseball equipment and our game balls for the season. We've also got a nice big water bottle back here. Everything's good with the frunk. The frunk is kind of a really cool extra feature because you do not have an engine in these EVs, so use the frunk. The frunk even has a cooler itself, and I'm not going to be able to lift this up with all this stuff in here, but in this cooler you've got a drain as well, so you can actually fill this with ice and put some drinks and things, especially for a sports parent like me. That is really, really cool. We can all take a break around the EV and charge our phones and have a couple of bevies. Not drink and drive, of course. Your power's here. Look at all this. Look at all this power. I mean, this is really cool. So in the front, you've got even more charging, so you can charge everybody's device on the team. You've got a whole bunch of plugs here, so you could really charge anything you want. Just tons of really awesome options just in the front. Obviously, it's automatic. You just push the button, and away we go. We close her up, and that's it. Now, if you have really large items, you're frunked. You're not going to be able to do it, but those really large items can go in the back, which we'll look at next. All right, let's take a look. This is pretty cool, too. I like the hard top. It was a leather top that I had with the Dodge, but this is, your standard bed, obviously, still standard size. You can fit everything in here, all your equipment. You can see all of our equipment. Obviously, still room back at the back, too, to fit even more things. What I really like about this one in particular, especially since I have kids pulling the equipment out of the truck, is that they have to, or they can rather, pull out this step, and that step helps them to get up into, it's even got a little handle here, get up into the truck to get stuff out. So I don't have to do it as the coach all 100% of the time. Well, that's pretty much it for the Ford F-150 Lightning review. My overall review is this. If you are interested in an EV, it is a great EV to have. I'm typically charging it once a week. It's not a big deal. And now that I have a home charger, I just do that at home, and it's super cheap. They recommend that you don't charge to 100%. I'm going to tell you that I do, because I don't frequently charge. So if you're going to be a frequent charger that charges every night, you want to charge it to 80 or 90% to preserve your battery life. I am not charging until I need to. Oh, I just hit the microphone again. That seems to be a habit of mine. I am not charging every night because, again, that reduces battery life as well. So couple of things you want to know. Let's see. So the TikTokers, what did they all chirp about? Oh, the EV in the cold. It's fine in the cold. It works in the cold. You might lose a little extra charge, but it does work in the cold, and you will not just wake up in the morning and not have your EV working. If you're worried, charge it overnight. It keeps the battery warm, and it's not a big deal. So if it's minus 40 degrees out because you're living in Winterpeg or whatever, hi Winterpeggers, love ya. fine, just plug it in. Plug it in. I mean, again, the battery life issue could be a problem down the road. I don't think it will be because Ford does now offer a 7-year battery warranty. So again, that talks to another thing that I heard on that TikTok chirping, which is get ready to replace your battery. Okay, well, if I do, Ford's got it covered, so I'm not really concerned. Maintenance is a really cool thing. So there's another pro. Okay, you need to go in and see Ford once a year so that they can rotate your tires. That's it. That's all. They'll look at everything else too, but that's it. Unless there's a problem, you're just rotating your tires and moving on. Okay, so that's cool. No oil changes. Ford actually did give me a package with my F-150 Lightning that allows me to just bring it in. They do that. I don't even have to pay extra for that. I probably did as part of the contract. Don't get me wrong, but and I'm not silly and stupid. Trust me, you don't need to put a comment. Oh, that was in your agreement. I'm sure it was. That's fine. It was in my agreement. Thank you. Either way, I bring it in for the next 7 years, and all good. They cover it. Okay. No, I didn't do 7-year financing. I'm just saying in the next 7 years, the warranty would cover it. Now, do you have to worry about do you have to worry about the speed? Yes, a little bit. You do a little bit. These things take off. They fly. You can get 0 to 100 and nothing on this vehicle. And this is a truck. Can't even imagine what a Tesla is or one of them Hyundais. But if you're in a Tesla, if you're in something else, I know that those things take off too. It is a real thing. But again, the other thing is they've done a really good job of if you're not a hard foot accelerator anyway, the vehicle just accelerates just like a gas vehicle would. It's really those folks that hit the accelerator hard that are going to notice a big difference. It's kind of fun getting on the highway. You see cars coming up and you're going to merge and they think they're going to be able to pass you because they've got time. They don't have time for you. You just blow on by. As soon as you hit that, you're gone and you beat them, and they look pretty surprised when you do it. So it's kind of fun to do that. But it is an interesting factor. The other interesting factor is your range when it comes to how you watch it go up or down. I think you want to think about these things too and consider when you're on the highway, if you're at about 100 kilometers an hour for Canadians, I don't know what that is miles per hour. I'm terrible at conversions, but you can convert it if you'd like, Google it, whatever. That's about the good. That's where you're going to get every kilometer, you're going to lose a kilometer of range. If you get to 120 or more, again, you're not supposed to be. I get that. So cops watching, again, disclaimer, don't go that fast if you don't have to. If you're not going with the flow, because going with the flow is a good thing, right? If you're going with the flow, fine. But whatever, if that's the case, you will potentially lose 1.5 to 2 kilometers in charge versus the actual distance you've traveled. So for example, you might lose at 140 if you're a speed rocket that's trying to break the law. At 140, you're going to probably lose almost 2 kilometers per kilometer you drive, as far as range is concerned. On the other side of it, if you drive in the city, you're going to notice, like mine right now says, 129 kilometers of range left on this battery charge. Well, what's interesting about that is that you will also notice that it'll stay that way for the next 3 or 4 kilometers. So it is actually the same the other way. When you do drive in the city, that range is going for a lot further than 1 kilometer per kilometer. So it's a little tough sometimes to with an EV to kind of monitor that. And I don't know if the other EVs, please put in the comments if you own a Tesla or something else. I don't know if the other EVs have that issue as well. That's the one issue I find with the Ford F-150 is that it's hard to measure your actual range just because in kilometers or miles, because the number changes so differently between whether you're doing city driving or whether you're doing highway driving. So and if Ford wants to comment on this and explain why that is, that'd be pretty cool too. But I don't know why that is. So just be aware of it. It's It's not a problem. I'm still able to easily follow my range and never run out of charge. But it is a curious little quirk. Other than that, if there's a con in the vehicle, the con is only that it goes less than my Dodge did. However, my Dodge might have gone 900 clicks on a tank, but the tank costs $150. I'm not even coming close to paying that, especially now with the home charger with the EV. Another pro is the fact that the kids love it. I mean, they love the comfort in it. They love the seating space. All the things kids love. They especially love the charging for their devices, and I don't mind them using their devices in the vehicle because they're sports kids. So when we're outside of the vehicle, we're probably on a baseball diamond. So, there's no device issues there. So I'm not worried about them using them in the car. And because of that, this car is great for power and different charging items for that. So lots of room to store food and drinks for parents. Obviously, with the front having that big cooler, you can start off with everything up there. Really cool things off with ice. Nice little drain there that drains that water right out. So you're not going to ruin anything, and it's not going to hurt the vehicle in any way. That is really cool to have that ability to have frozen things or cold things. Yes, obviously you need to pull over to get it out in the future, but again, you can have your standard cooler in the back if you want. Just have your extra stuff up there. Lots of easy ways to deal with that. And that's another pro. So I would say the pros far outweigh the cons, despite what you will see on the internet and the interwebs and the talk ticks and the Instagrammers. It is the pros far outweigh the cons. And you'll notice, because folks calling me liberal, and in Canada that's a bad word these days. You'll notice I haven't talked about hugging trees or helping the environment. I'm sure that in some ways it helps the environment, and I'm also sure that the production of these batteries doesn't help the environment. I'm sure that there's truth to that too. So that's not one of my major reasons here. I'm glad it helps. I'm glad the emissions are lower. I don't know what the batteries do to the environment, and don't at me about that. I'm not going to get into a debate about that. And I'm not a tree hugger, although I do appreciate the environment and want my kids to have a safe and healthy planet down the road when they have their kids. But I'm certainly not screaming at people for driving their Dodge Rams, because that's what I drove, or their F-150s that are fuel or whatever, because that's what I drove. So again, not liberal, never would be. If you are liberal, great, enjoy your liberalism. If you're not, great, welcome to the conservative world. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Why we all can't just get along and have different opinions is hilarious to me. Anyway, lots of pros as a parent to EVs. If you're a coach, even more pros. If you're just a sports parent, even more pros. But there's a lot of pros to this. And again, don't worry about the range anxiety. It's not that bad. Really not that bad. You can find easily places to charge up if you need to. And most of the time, if it's just part of your city driving or local-ish driving, you're just charging at home anyway, and you're never going to one of those chargers. So not to worry about that. Thank you so much for watching. I know this video is a bit long. I think it's important, though, because there's been a lot of sort of real hard reviews on EVs. But from a practical standpoint, from an actual parent standpoint, from being a coach, being a dad, not really being a car expert, not being a car magazine or anything like that, just a real parent's review on an EV, in particular this one, the Ford F-150 Lightning Platinum. It's a good car, and you can feel comfortable buying it. Don't worry. Thanks for watching, everybody. Like, subscribe, comment, let's talk about it. But don't be ridiculous calling me liberal and all this other stuff. If you do, it's fine. I just won't respond. But like, comment, subscribe, all that thing, mash buttons, whatever it is YouTubers say. And thanks for watching.